What's up, guys? I recently finished a book and I think it's worth talking about. Not worth writing about, which sounds mean, but it's more so I just don't have enough to say to actually write a full-blown blog post about it. But we're gonna do a video about it because we can. So I recently read Broken Things by Lauren Oliver, and from the get-go, like, it just gave me almost Riley Sager, like final girl Riley Sager feels, which was so fun because it's been a minute. I have other like Riley Sager books that I would like to read because I just really enjoyed that writing style. But yeah, like, so it was like YA level thriller-ish feels. It's about a cold case, and it's about like three friends. One of them got murdered and the other two were accused of said murder, even though we learned things later that turned everything on the head. Because I mean, from the get-go, the novel, like, first thing is like, I didn't do it. And it's like, okay, did you really not do it? Or is this a plot device so we think that you didn't do it, but you actually did it? It's a fun ride from beginning to end, but that is all I'm gonna say before we dive into spoilers. So, here's your warning. If you don't want to be spoiled, don't watch past this point. Cool? Cool. So, the cast of characters, like, expands a wide variety the further you get into the novel, because it's more than just those three girls, and it kind of dives in a little bit more about the town because you get to meet the other people who are also on the suspect list, and you also get to meet like some of the other people who the two survivors, if you will, have met and, you know, had gained a level of interest in what had happened and, you know, kind of where they were now. The first one that we meet is Bryn, and she essentially decided it's much better to stay in rehab than it is to be stared at, which, if nobody in rehab knows why you're there, or like the fact that you're trying to avoid the things that have like pushed you in that direction, yeah, I could see that. So, you know, she essentially always crafted a way for her to stay in rehab so that way she never had to go back home because she did not like the life that was there for her when she actually got out of rehab. I don't really have another word. I don't have a better word for it. The other survivor is Mia, and you essentially just get the sense that she has always been this like tightly wound, oh my gosh, if it's not done this way, I may die kind of person. And it also is a little bit more of like the family life that she has experienced that's kind of like influenced that. But you kind of get to see how she's handled it. She's essentially become a recluse because she doesn't like being stared at, or, you know, being told that she's a witch or whatever. Because that was one of the things, that was like one of the narratives that they went with, which is kind of on par for most female related things, because it's like, oh, well, they were pretending to be witches. This surrounds like a level of, like, it surrounds their love of this specific story. But you also get to learn the girl that died, whose name is now escaping my brain. It starts with an S, but I can't remember if it's like Savannah, Samantha, Sophie, I don't remember. Clearly it did not stick in my brain that much. I'm trying to describe her. She's like your Regina George-ish, your Heather Chandler kind of character. There was one, though, that I specifically thought about that's like, oh my gosh, this reminds me of this story. And now I can't even think of what it was. But essentially she tried to control her two friends, and, you know, if the narrative didn't go in her way, then, you know, she would tweak it into a way that it did favor her and not the other person, even if she was the one that was actually at fault. So that kind of person. It's a great, great friend, right? You just kind of get to go through like all like their lives, and you kind of get to understand why they are the way they are and where they, you know, where they end up. And to find out at the end that it was a teacher, and it, to an extent, it felt like it was like watching an episode of Cold Case or Law and Order to an extent, where, you know, they got a little bit attached to like the person, and there's just a level of creepiness that comes with like a teacher being so attached to a student. So that was a little weird, but it didn't feel like it came out of left field. But I also half expected Mia's friend, who was a YouTube star, like beauty guru, makeup influencer kind of person. I half expected it to be her, or to have her have actually been this girl that supposedly died 5 years ago, and she had altered herself so much, and she was, you know, just another level of like manipulation. And those were things that I kind of expected. I'm not mad about the way it ended. I really honestly enjoyed the novel from beginning to end, but it was the teacher. And like, one of the things that they did is they went through like, oh, these are the different like ways that like, it's like normal with like a serial killer kind of thing. And they did connect this teacher to a previous killing of another female student, not in their town, but in a different town. And kind of like used their fan fiction as like all of these different clues that had been laid, that's like, oh, this is who this character is. This is who, you know, we should be looking at. Like, that's how they use it, which was a really like clever device in using like the fan fiction, because sometimes you do write through things as a way to actually like process through and kind of figure out what's going on. And so I thought that was cool. I would recommend picking this up. I listened to the book and I really enjoyed it, but I think it would be a fun, like, actual sit down and read. I just wish I had more time to sit down and read books. Unfortunately, I only have so much time to do that. Right now we're in our master's program, so any books that we're getting to sit down and read is for class, so cheers. But yeah, that's what I got. Broken Things by Lauren Oliver. Really recommend it. You should go check it out. But that's it for me. I will see you next video. Bye. Don't